I know, you must be looking at this and thinking, what kind of trip is this? The guy disappears for a while and comes back wanting to connect Batman with Harry Potter. Two movies that have absolutely nothing to do with each other. But the other day I was thinking about the real strength that guides us in this life. Not the strength we say we have, nor the one we want to show to others. I'm talking about a much deeper strength, the one that truly moves you, about the invisible power that exists inside you, often without you even realizing it. But it's what decides your choices, your discipline, your appetite for life, and most importantly, how much you can endure to get where you want. And I realized something really important. Few people are aware of this strength, but it's exactly what separates those who achieve what they're after from those who might spend their whole lives trying, but never move forward. And it was while reflecting on this that these two scenes came to my mind. Two completely different worlds, but together, they reveal a secret that's not very well known, yet extremely powerful, about our inner strength. Now just relax, because I'm going to explain this craziness to you. Starting with the first scene from the movie Batman, The Dark Knight Rises. This is the third and final film of the trilogy, and what we see there is a defeated Bruce Wayne. He tried to save his city from evil and corruption and ended up being completely destroyed. The city is now taken over by the villain of the moment, Bane, and his henchmen are in control. It seems to be the end. Gotham's days are numbered. To make matters worse, Bruce Wayne can't do anything. After all, he just lost the physical battle with Bane, which besides leaving him physically broken, also broke his spirit and left him exiled far away, inside a dark, inescapable pit.
There's a reason why this prison is the worst hell on earth. Hope. Everyone who's rotted here all this time has looked at the light and imagined themselves climbing to freedom.
Many died trying.
Basically, all you have left to do is watch on television, your city collapsing without being able to do anything at all to help. And then, only after the city has completely collapsed before your eyes, will Bane allow him to leave.
We are going to destroy Gotham. Then when it's over and Gotham is in ashes, you have my permission to die.
There is no greater torture. It's hell on earth. The feeling is so bad that Bruce has already given up. Now he begs for death. But the other prisoners in the pit with him don't want to kill him. After all, they're paid to keep him alive. And in the midst of this hopeless hell, suddenly, he sees something different happening. Inside the pit, a group of prisoners starts to gather, chanting a strange Arabic song. Deshi Basara means rise or get up. The chant symbolizes overcoming, the strength to get up after a fall. And it's no coincidence. This is their ritual every time a prisoner tries the climb to freedom. At that moment, we even see Bruce adjusting himself to watch what will happen. As if for a moment a thread of hope was born inside him. But he soon sees the man fail miserably in his attempt.
And already disillusioned, he asks,
Someone. Has anyone succeeded? Of course not.
But then one of the older prisoners, who seems wiser and was listening to the conversation, interrupts and tells his colleague to talk about the ancient myth that exists in that prison. The myth says that someone has already managed to escape from that pit. In fact, it wasn't an ordinary person. It was a child born inside that hell, who climbed the walls of the pit, made the leap to freedom, and managed to escape. But since then, many have tried the jump and no one has succeeded. And what we see is that even though this story is just a myth, it makes Bruce start to believe again. He now seems to find motivation and meaning for his life once more. That's why, even though he's broken, he decides to try the leap to freedom. He can't let his city rot and do nothing. He ties the rope around his waist and starts the climb, but when he tries to jump, he fails. But this failure doesn't shake him completely. He doesn't give up. He starts training more, working out there to improve his physique and make the best jump possible.
Because getting stronger, my body makes the jump.
And after some time exercising and getting ready, there he goes again trying to make the jump for the second time. But again, he doesn't make it. And disappointed with all of this, we see him venting without hope. He seems to be practically giving up, thinking there's no way that he'll have to watch his city rot without being able to do anything at all. But then, that wiser man at the well decides to give some valuable advice.
You don't fear death. You think that makes you stronger, but it actually makes you weaker.
Even though Bruce is focusing on his body, the old prisoner says that the most powerful drive in our spirit is the fear of death.
How can you move faster than possible, fight harder than possible, without the most powerful instinct of the spirit, the fear of death?
The fear of death would make your body release a lot of adrenaline, and more importantly, would activate your primitive survival instinct, which would inevitably push your body to its maximum capacity. But the prisoner says that since Bruce doesn't fear death, that wouldn't work for him. But Bruce argues back. He says that he does fear death, that he fears seeing his city rot away without being able to do anything. Then, the wise old man decides to give him a suggestion.
Then make the climb like the child did without the rope.
Now there's no escape. Without the rope, there is no second chance. If Bruce makes a mistake, he can't try again. It's a matter of life or death. And when he tries this way, the story is different. He makes it, frees himself from that hell, and goes out to save his city. It's a symbolic moment in the movie, the moment of the resurrection of his spirit and his body. And it's even more symbolic for Bruce, because those who love the saga will remember very well that scene in the first movie, where Bruce, still a child, falls into a well and his father comes to save him. But now as a man, it's him having to take full control of his life. It's him realizing that as a man, no one is going to come to save him. Only he can do that. And that's what he does. He uses all his inner strength to escape that hell. And what I find very interesting in this whole story is that if we look closely at the first two attempts, the force that prevailed in Bruce was his love for his city. Of course, there was also the fear of being trapped there, but that fear wasn't that strong. It wasn't enough to push his body to the limit. After all, deep down, he knew there was a plan B. If he missed the jump, he could try again. And in this way, no matter how noble his reasons were, it didn't activate enough strength inside him to make the best jump. That's exactly what the old wise man was saying.
He said that the jump to freedom is not a matter of strength.
The fear of death was what activated his most powerful inner strength. And after analyzing this scene, that question inevitably comes up. So does that mean that to achieve what we're looking for in this life, we should always use fear? Is fear always the best force for our lives? And before I start giving my opinion here, let me show you another scene because it can really help us with this answer. The scene is from Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Here's a quick explanation of what's happening. Harry's trying to learn an advanced spell that very few people can perform, especially at his age. It's a defensive spell that's used to ward off Dementors. Dementors are the guards of the Azkaban prisons. They're horrible and frightening creatures that feed on people's negative emotions.
Everything got cold, as if happiness disappeared from the world.
That's exactly the feeling Dementors bring to the environment when they show up. And that's why the teacher who's teaching Harry to perform this spell tells him that for the spell to work, it's not enough to just say it out loud. It's important that when Harry is about to cast the spell, he can mentally internalize a strong enough memory. After all, this is a powerful enchantment that requires channeling pure positive energy to repel the Dementors. That's the fuel needed to successfully conjure this guardian of light, a shield made of positive emotional energy, which carries with it the strongest emotion the wizard can feel. After explaining the spell's theory, it's time for Harry to try it for the first time. He says he's ready and that he's already thought of a strong enough memory. But on his first attempt, he fails miserably.
Which memory did you choose?
My first flight on a broomstick?
That wasn't strong enough, not even close.
But he wants to try again.
I have another one. It's not exactly cheerful.
It's very strong. So let's try.
And on this second attempt, he manages to cast the spell. Harry lost his parents when he was still a baby, and at the moment he cast the spell, Harry thought of them, holding on to the only memory he had of his parents.
I was thinking about him and Mom, seeing their faces. That was the memory I chose. I don't even know if it's real, but it's the best one I have.
In practice, what we're talking about here is the strongest positive emotion a human being can feel: love. And that's why the spell worked so well. The truth is, the stronger and more genuine the emotion behind the memory, the more powerful the Patronus will be. and the more effective its protection against those dark creatures. It's interesting to consider the metaphors behind the Batman and Harry Potter scenes, because at first glance, they seem to teach completely different things about life. In the case of Harry Potter, it's as if they're telling us that in the darkest moments of our lives, when everything feels heavy, sad, and hopeless, only light can save us. Only what we feel strongest and most positive inside us is able to pull us out of the emotional hole we sometimes fall into. Now, in Batman's case, it's different. We see that actually when we're at rock bottom, love isn't enough, physical strength isn't enough, hope isn't enough. The only way to get out of there is by using our most powerful inner strength of all, which would be the fear of death. And then we get confused because one talks about light and the other talks about instinct. One points to love and the other to fear. But after all, who's right? Which of these forces is more powerful? Which one should guide us in this life? And the more I thought about it, the clearer one thing became. Reality isn't so black and white. Because the fact is, these two forces exist within us, and no matter how strong and intense they are, they don't always help us. In many cases, they completely consume us, sabotage us, and end up harming us. Love, for example, can be so strong that it starts to create attachment. And attachment doesn't set you free, it only paralyzes you. No matter how powerful the force of love may be, when it's not channeled properly, it can get in your way. It can make you stop moving forward, stop growing. And at that point, love becomes a prison. The same thing happens with fear. It can be so strong that you can't even think straight. You freeze and can't move forward anymore. In other words, we're not just talking about simply feeling love or fear, or even about the strength of each of these feelings. We're talking especially about how you channel these forces to help you achieve what you're looking for in this life. I know that right now you must be asking yourself, so does it not matter whether it's love or fear? Is that what you're trying to say? And no, not at all. As Machiavelli once said, if a leader can't be loved and feared at the same time, he should choose fear. And obviously he wrote this thinking about politics, power, and controlling the masses. But when you take this out of the political field and bring it to real life, to human behavior, this same principle still works. And Machiavelli's argument was very simple. Love is unstable. Fear is much more constant. People change their affections quickly, but the instinct for self-preservation is much deeper. It's automatic and hard to turn off. And that's what's really interesting about Machiavelli. As much as his concepts are often used for politics, when we dive deep into his work, we realize that many of his views go far beyond politics. They apply to life in general, to understand human psychology and, above all, who the human being truly is. For those who are interested, I developed a complete analysis, almost an hour long, of the work The Prince by Machiavelli. This content is very dense and covers some very sensitive topics. But now, going back to that idea of fear as a more stable force, let's think about that classic comparison between heirs and people who came from nothing. You know that story about Cristiano Ronaldo and his son, where he says his son plays well, has talent, and loves the sport, but he doesn't have the same hunger he did as a child. His son already gets everything handed to him. We even see this idea in the Batman movie.
I told you there was no way out.
You said a child escaped.
But not an ordinary child. A child born in hell, forged in suffering, hardened by pain. Not a man of privilege.
And that perfectly illustrates the point. Those who grow up in comfort rarely develop that kind of internal pressure, that urgency, that emotional resilience. Of course, there are exceptions. In the movie, Bruce is one. Despite being a playboy, his suffering has built inner strength that drives him to the limit. And, in real life, there are these people. Those who manage to separate themselves from the environment they were raised in and are able to build such powerful inner strengths that they can take them very far in their goals. Elon Musk might be an example of that. And here, it doesn't matter if you like the guy or not, if you agree with what he does or with his ideals. But if there's one thing that's undeniable here, it's that the guy is insanely ambitious. He comes from a wealthy family, he could even be considered an heir, but he has an incredible hunger. He has something inside him that doesn't allow him to stand still. Now, is this something inside him a passion or a fear?
My mind is a storm. Most people wouldn't want to be me. They might think so, but they don't really understand.
That sentence says it all. It shows very clearly that it's not inner peace that guides him. It's inner turmoil, restlessness, an overwhelming psychological pressure. And what life never stops showing is that when someone gets this far, has this insane obsession and reaches these crazy levels of success, fear, in the vast majority of these cases, is the predominant force. Love might even give direction, point the way, but it doesn't create the need. You know the feeling, if I don't do this, I'll go hungry, or won't be able to support my family, or simply, if I don't, I die. These feelings are too strong to quit at the first obstacle or say, I'm not going today, or I don't feel like it. In this state, you do it because it must be done. There is no plan B. There's no Batman rope that lets you get a second jump.
Is it better to be feared or respected, I ask? Is it too much?
And even continuing along this line of errors, if we think about Tony Stark from Iron Man, even though it's more of a fiction, we see this same idea. The guy is brilliant, no doubt. He inherited his father's empire and apparently ran Stark Industries very well. But if we look closely, his greatest creation, which is Iron Man, comes at what moment in his life? At a moment of comfort? Of course not. It comes at a moment of necessity, at the moment when he was kidnapped in the middle of the desert. He has to build that armor to protect himself and stay alive. Do you get what I mean? His armor wasn't born out of a love for science. It was born out of the urgent need to survive. And what I'm trying to say with all this is that, as beautiful as that phrase, always do things out of love and never out of fear, the truth is that what we see in practice is that it's not necessarily that force that will take you further. After all, in real life, we all have bad days. We all fluctuate. Everyone gets tired. And in those moments, love, no matter how strong it is, tends to be much weaker than fear. Because as we've already seen, love is a much more unstable emotion. It doesn't last, it doesn't keep up the pace, it doesn't sustain the consistency that certain battles require. Although we dislike it, there's little we can do to avoid it in the world we've created. When we're talking about that conventional success, social climbing, reaching extreme places, most of the time, the ones who go the farthest are those who carry internal pressure, deep wounds, traumas, a constant restlessness. It's exactly this fuel that creates obsession, that creates urgency, that creates that mental state of I can't stop. And that's why I usually say, living guided by love is the ideal way to exist. It's beautiful, it's spiritually higher, but it's far from being the real way that takes someone to the extremes of social success. Because love is the light that leads you out of darkness and shows you the way. But who will make you walk that path? When it hurts, when you get tired, when you don't feel like it, when everyone criticizes you, when everything in you wants to stop, it's fear.